So I wanted to show this whole cadaver picture, because on my last video I couldn't show it. It was a wide picture, so I cut it in half and just collaged it too. So if you see down here, you can see, I can't do this with the, you can see next, leaning next to the table is a cadaver. Then there's one laying on the table. And then you can see right here, these two guys at the end, they're holding, I don't know if it's a leg or an arm. So it's just strange. And then all the way over here along the border, it looks like a coffin. And what it says is Third Club. So I'm assuming it was the Third Cadaver Members Club, the third year of the Cadavers Club. Because below that, then it has all their names. I think it's all their names, I'm assuming, because they have it next to them. But it looks like a coffin. So it's just a disturbing picture. But then again, it is med students, so in the 50s. But these secret societies are really disturbing. They are. And not just because, you know, like at Yale, they're called Skull and Bones. Or it's not just that. It's their syndicate. Like your kid, if your kid goes off to these colleges, they're never going to be able to tell you they're in a secret society. They can't. They're sworn to secrecy. They are. It's that serious. It's the mob. It's your high elite university syndicate. And it's not just dark ones. It's your Society of Jesus, yes, which is your Jesuits. Which that chief nursing officer that did that stuff to me that I've talked about in the last couple weeks, at my first job, a totally criminal mind doing that to the kid, to me. She's proud of her Jesuits roots. And, you know, a lot of people have been looking into the Jesuits. Now, I'm not one of these that likes to completely say that all these well, except for this, well, I guess with secret societies, maybe they're dark because they're just secret in general. But like with the Freemasons, I don't know that the Freemasons were always, I know people will leave a ton of comments telling me otherwise, but you don't know that they didn't just start off as an innocent thing and that wickedness infiltrates it. That's the problem. That's the reason I'm not a grouper. Because in wickedness, a union, whatever it is, will always infiltrate it and then direct it. So, because I have a hard time believing that people would just join something dark and sinister, just because, oh yeah, I'll do this. I mean, with the Skull and Bones thing, there's a whole movie on Skull and Bones, actually, about how they pull the kids in. And it's because they give them a car, they give them money. They promise them the highest positions when they get out, and they get them. Because then they're always useful for their political agenda down the road. Oh, no, we know the attorneys from this firm and this firm and this firm. That's why everybody out of Washington, in Babylon, as I call it, the DC, political syndicate there that's supposedly protecting America. Most of them are from Yale. And yeah, are there some from Yale that had nothing to do with it? Yeah, but there just seems to be something missing with some of these people that I don't know if it's just the positions they get in. I don't want to, I guess I shouldn't say this about all of them, but I think the education is too long too. I think that's part of the problem. I mean, you're just sitting in a classroom or whatever, just constantly getting educated. Like that's what Magnet Nursing wants you to do. I took the same state board exam as a master degree nurse, okay? But I'm not seen as good. I'm not, or at least not to Magnet. Not that I care, because now I can see what little sense they have, because they pushed their whole shared governance stuff because they were doing it because of the World Economic Forum and the United Nations. But it's just trashy. It's trashy to do that to people. When I looked in the nursing history and then just overall, and it's like even at public health, it's I did a video. It was one of my early ones. I mentioned it once before on YouTube. One of my first few months videos, and I titled it "Once You See Truth, You Can't Unsee It," because it was like when I went to the YouTube site of National Institute of Medicine and watched some of their videos about the community nurse and coming to help or check on the new immigrants or the new people in town, and then, well, we should get you a checkup, and then all of a sudden get an x-ray, and the woman has a shadow on her lung, but she feels totally fine, has no symptoms, but she's got to go off to the TB camp. And then her family can't visit her. I mean, at that time when I did it, I'm like, doesn't that sound familiar? Because it was all that, can't go visit your family in the hospital. It's like this repeating theme that they want to pull people away from their families. They want to keep you in the education system. It's all about indoctrinating. Even way back then, because then what they would do with many of these people that didn't have symptoms is they would put all the women together and then they would train them in a skill. Yeah, it was like they just wanted to train a bunch of slaves. There's videos on it. They'd be doing calisthenics because they're at the camp of TB, even though they feel totally fine. And then it was like, oh, it helped in the end because they got to learn a skill and then have a job. Like they always wanted, instead of women, not saying this against women, don't take it this way. I'm not trying to say, oh, women shouldn't work and be in the home. But there is some, there is studies showing that when you have the mother in the home, it's better for the kids, instead of them being latchkey kids with both parents working. But in this wicked world, no, it wants those kids, either for other sinister reasons, like the child sacrifice stuff with some people, or selling them for child labor, which that does go on. People think that's not a thing anymore. No, it totally is, which is why the Nursing Association, I shame them because they support open borders. So think of all the children. But no, that all still goes on. So it just proves the Bible to me. So with the Jesuit Society, it's the Society of Jesus, commonly known as Jesuits, a religious order of clerics, regular of the pontifical rite for men in the Catholic Church, headquartered in Rome. And it goes on to tell all this. This is what the problem is. I said Jesus wouldn't support the Jesuits. Sorry, all of you Jesuits. Because it's like you're your own society. And Anthony Fauci is from the Jesuits, okay? Like I said in my other video. Like that should be enough right there. And he's very fond of having new Jesuit scientists come in. Yeah, no, not a good idea. I don't think it's a good idea. I've seen what a nurse is, a chief nursing officer is like, that is so proud of her Jesuit roots at Loyola. Okay, no moral compass, and more than that, a criminal mind. So, I would normally try to be balanced in my opinion on this, but I've done too many looks into the secret societies. And the Society of Jesus and the Jesuits, even though it's a whole Catholic and part of that, that's really what it stems from. That's why you should really realize how true the Bible is for that reason alone. Is because I said once before, the number one thing that wickedness would want to get a hold of is the Bible, is to get a hold of anybody of faith. Get a hold of the church in the beginning, way in the beginning, shortly after, the first one was founded. That was the true kind of church, about Jesus. That's what that wicked one would want to get a hold of. So get a bunch of Roman Empire types in there, call them popes, call them bishops. And I'm not saying every single pope, but all of them have it wrong. They do. They have it wrong. They focus too much on Mary. Sorry, I understand the whole teaching of it and why. And okay, but no, that's not what we were supposed to focus on. But as long as they let you focus on that and do your rosary, that really doesn't do anything except you're mumbling words over and over and over again. It's the same thing as like Buddhists do when they're chanting. It keeps you mindless. That's what they want you to do, is be mindless. Yes, I'm hitting myself. But I meant to do, they want you to stay mindless. So just do these chants. Go do the rosary to be forgiven. God doesn't want you just doing saying the Our Father 50 times. He doesn't want that at all. That's not penance to him. He wants the relationship. To think that we live in a world where we're supposed to have relationships with people, to think that God himself wouldn't want a relationship with us is stupid. But because the wicked one controls this world, it'll keep you busy any way it can, chanting, sitting in Om with the cobra, whatever it is. It's gotten into all the faiths. So you got to get away from the Jesuits. You got to get away from the denominations, because they all went to seminary school in some form and they all got it wrong.